So, what are the habits of consistently happy people? Well, there's so many to talk about that I think I should just probably focus on 5 for you. And it's also important to not overwhelm yourself and to start in baby steps and start creating habits step by step by step that are manageable and that you can do as often or as little as you want to start your happiness now. And if you think this will benefit someone else and inspire someone else, someone you think may use a little more happiness in their life, please hit the subscribe button below, the like button, and share it. Okay, so the very first one is that optimistic view, a different focus on life. Like, what are those first thoughts when you wake up in the morning? Is it going to be, wow, I wonder what cool things are in store for me today? I wonder if the universe is going to give me good synergies and surprises. I'm excited to start living my purpose. I'm excited to go to my work. I'm happy to be with my family. Or are they negative angst thoughts? Happy people, consistently happy people, have positive thoughts spinning in their mind. And when they notice that they're going in the negative rabbit hole down into the darkness, they notice that. They're aware enough. They have self-awareness to say, gosh, I'm really going into a dark place. Let me start changing that thought or that perspective. So how are you waking up in the morning? And what are your first thoughts? Notice those. And I also find in that process of being optimistic that they look for the positive in everything. They view the best in situations, in other people. Let me give you an example. When I was teaching Dale Carnegie, well, actually I was in process of learning to teach it, they always focus on the speaker's strengths. And this one speaker was just as horrible as she was the very first day she started. And I was sitting there as someone in the learning seat, watching the master teach, and I thought to myself, seriously, how can you make this a strength? And so the instructor got up after the person talked and spoke about the strength. Here it is. How many of you came in the first day 14 weeks ago and were panicked and fearful of speaking? Everybody's hand went up. And how many of you after a few sessions started to get a little bit more confident? Almost everyone's hands went up. And by the time you hit session 10, 11, 12, how many of you felt pretty darn confident or a complete change and didn't have all those horrible over-the-top butterflies? Well, just about everybody put their hand up again. And she said, think back to that first day when you had horrible butterflies and you were so panicked to get up here and give a talk. And you got up and you did it. Imagine feeling that every single week for 14 weeks, yet you still show up every time. You get up in front of the class and you give it your best, even in the midst of all that fear and pain. That is courage. Wow. That's an example of looking for the very best and learning how to pull out the very best in other people. Another one is stop comparing. Stop comparing yourself to other people. Oh, that person's richer, that person's thinner, that person's faster, that person's got more friends. The comparing never helps us. And like, I think about where we are in our country of the United States and think how blessed we are. But a lot of us don't feel that way because we're comparing ourselves to the Joneses next door, right? Well, where would we be like 120 years ago when they didn't have indoor plumbing? They didn't have air conditioning. They didn't have any of the technologies we have. Just with what you have now, no matter where you live, no matter what place you live in, even if you're homeless in many cases, you can have been better than most of the people back 120 years ago. So what makes you not feel abundant now? If you had what you had now, you would have been in the top 0.1 percentile of the world. What's the difference? Is now you're comparing yourself to everybody else. Where back then, if you had the same things you had now, you would have been in the top of the top. So that leads me to the next opportunity and habit of happy people, and that is being grateful. Being thankful for all the things that you do have and focusing on those gratitudes. Just about every day at dinner or when we do eat together, we all say something that we're grateful for that day. 3 specific things, actually. And we learn about what everybody else at the table is grateful for, and it helps us focus on the positive things of that day. Where most of us are trained, at the end of the day, we focus on what? The negative things that have happened. Happy people focus on those positive things. And there's a specific little game you can play with yourself or with a friend, and that is the ABCs of gratitude. You go through every letter, starting with A, and you say, what is an A that I'm grateful for, specifically to this time right now? For me, it would be Abraham Hicks, a spiritual teacher that I listen to. And then maybe the other person would say B, the beauty of the day, or the brownies that we had last night. C for clarity or creativity or cartoons on TV, whatever it is. And you go through the whole alphabet, either by yourself or with somebody else. Again, focuses you on what you're grateful for, what you're thankful for, what brings you joy. Another one is random acts of kindness. Just being upbeat. My husband is great with this. You walk into a grocery store and somebody waits on you. Oh, what beautiful earrings. Oh, you have such a nice spirit and personality. When you see this in other people and acknowledge it, that's an act of kindness. When you open the door for somebody, when you put yourself out in any way, it's a random act of kindness. And at Christmas time, we often go into Big B coffee places, and we'll buy coffees for people and don't tell them who bought it for them. Just ask them to pass on the kindness. Some people buy coffees for the people behind them. Some people are just overjoyed. It's fun to watch the reactions in the background. But you're shifting somebody else's day by your act of kindness. And what happens is that comes back to you and it makes you feel great. Another one, and this is the last one I'm going to talk about today, is having friendships. Happy people have really great friendships. And those friendships are deeper, they're more intimate. They don't have to be a lot of friends, but people they can rely on, people they can laugh with, people that they can be real with, and tell them how they feel or give their opinion and not feel like they're judged or put down. Hanging around those friendships that are nurturing and positive really is a key in maintaining consistent happiness. When you are in a rough way, and man, I'll tell you, I have been through some heavy duty stuff, My friends have been my parachute. So surround yourself with positive, deeper friendships. Now, some of you may be going, wow, that's a lot of stuff. You can listen to the video over again and try to pick up some more of the habits, but start small. And just do one of these until it starts to become a habit. Maybe even put down in a journal or on a piece of paper a goal that you have to work towards more happiness. The more you get to know yourself and the strengths within you, and the more you're motivated and actually inspired from within to try creating some of the habits of these 5 things, you too can be consistently happy. And isn't that the end game? That is it. Nothing matters more than that. If you are inspired by this, if you want to learn more about happiness, please hit the subscribe button below, hit the like, and I hope to see you soon again. And please share if you think it will inspire someone else.